Welcome. My name is Mr. Diri TJ, and I'll be taking you English language. Our topic for today is active and passive voice. Active and passive voice. In English, every sentence can be written in two different ways. Okay, we have the active voice and passive voice. Both forms are grammatically correct, but they serve different purposes. Understanding the difference helps students improve their grammar, writing, speaking, and comprehension skills. Let's talk about active voice. A sentence is in the active voice when the subject performs the action of the verb. The subject is the doer. The sentence follows a clear, direct structure. Now, what's the structure of an active voice? Here we have it. The structure of an active voice is we have the subject plus the verb plus the object. The subject acts directly on the object. What are the key features we see with an active voice? The subject is the doer of the action, always active and in control of the verb. When to use? When do we use an active voice? Common in everyday speech, storytelling, and most forms of writing for clarity and directness. We're going to be talking about examples of active voice, and I want you to pay close attention to this. David studies his Bible every morning. Did you see that? David is the subject, which is the doer of the action. And what is the verb? What is the action? Studies. And what is the object? Is Bible. So you see the structure, the subject, the verb, and the object. So David studies his Bible every morning. Now, another example which follows the same structure. The teacher explained the lesson clearly. The teacher is the subject, explained is the verb, the lesson is the object. Mary solved the mathematics problem. Mary, the subject, solved the verb, the mathematics problem, the object. The students completed their assignment. The student, the subject, completed the verb, the assignment, the object. God blesses obedient children. When God is the subject, blesses is the verb, and obedient children is the object. You can see that it all follow the same structure. Now let's move to the next slide. We talk about passive voice. The other time we talked about active voice. Now we're talking about passive voice. A sentence is in the passive voice when the subject receives the action instead of performing it. You see, the subject is receiving the action. Meanwhile, in the active voice, it is the subject that performs the action. Now, the focus shifts from the doer, that is the subject, to the action itself or the object affected. Hence, the structure of a passive voice is that the object comes before the auxiliary verb and the and then the past participle of the tense of the verb used, then by, then subject. So we have object plus auxiliary verb plus past participle plus by plus subject. The original object becomes the new subject of the sentence. Can you see that? So let's check this with these few examples. Examples of passive voice. Number one, the Bible is studied by David every morning. Now, the other time in the active voice, we have David studies the Bible, okay, every morning. Now, we have the Bible is studied by David every morning. So we see the subject is David, but now we have the subject as what? The Bible. But the Bible was the object. So we see it coming first. The Bible coming first, plus auxiliary verb is, plus past participle of studies, which is now studied, plus by, plus the subject, which is David. Are you following? The lesson was explained clearly by the teacher. The lesson is the object, but now it is now the subject because it's coming first. So the object comes plus the auxiliary verb, which is was, plus the past participle of the word explained, which is now explained. Then we have what? Clearly. And then by, plus the subject, the teacher. The mathematics problem, which was the object in the active voice, now becomes the subject. So the mathematics problem, the object in active voice, plus was, which is the auxiliary, plus the past participle solve, now becomes solved, and then we have the plus by, plus Mary, which is the subject. Now the assignments were completed by the subject, by the students, the same format, the object plus auxiliary verb were, plus past participle completed, plus by, plus the student, which is the subject. Obedient children are blessed by God. You can see the other time we have God blesses obedient children. Now we have obedient children coming first, plus the auxiliary verb are, plus blessed, plus the by, plus the subject, which is God. Wow, I hope you're following. I hope you're getting it. Good. Now let's move to the next. Active versus passive voice. We need to know the key differences. Now, understanding the distinction between active and passive voice helps you choose the right form for your purpose. Now, here is a clear comparison. Feature. We have the subject role, we have example, we have clarity, we have focus, we have common use. So for active voice, the subject role is it performs the action, but in passive voice, it receives the action. Now look at this example here. Let's compare. The boy kicked the ball. Now look at the passive voice. We have the ball was kicked by the boy. Clarity, more direct and natural. Are you seeing? If it is active, it is more direct, it is more natural. But when it is passive, you have to make some adjustment and it becomes more formal or indirect. Then we have the focus. The focus is on the doer of the action. All right? And then in passive, the focus is on the action of the receiver, because sometimes we may not even need the doer in passive voice. Something like saying the ball was kicked and we could do away with by the boy. Now let's move on. Common use. Yeah, it's used in everyday speech and writing. That's active voice. But passive voice, of course, is used in formal writing and reports. Now, quick tip. If you can add by someone to the end of a sentence, of course, it is likely passive voice. So anytime you have by someone, you should know that that statement is already in a passive voice. I hope you are getting it. All right. Now let's move on. How to form passive voice? How do we form passive voice? No, we form passive voice by converting an active sentence to passive voice following a clear four-step process. Master these steps and you can transform any suitable sentence with confidence. Now I need you to follow carefully. Number one, what do? You move the object. The first thing you do is to move the object. Take the object from the active sentence and place it at the beginning. It becomes the new subject. Number two, add the correct be verb. Choose the correct form of be. That is, you have the is, the are, the was, the were, the been to match the tense. Number three, use past participle. Change the main verb to its past participle form, e.g., written, eaten, taught. Number 4, had by plus doer. All right. Optionally, add. Optionally add by followed by the original subject, the do of the action. Do you see that it's optional? So that should in case sometimes you may not even need the by and the doer. You just leave it to flow with the 3 earlier steps. But if the doer is needed, then you add the 4th step, which is adding by and the doer of the action. I hope you're getting it. Good. So let's talk about active, passive, side-by-side examples. So we have studied how each active sentence transforms into passive voice. Notice how the object moves to the front and the verb changes form. You see, there is a movement, okay, of the object to the front and then the verb changing its form. So let's see these examples. We have, for the active voice, we have John reads the Bible. John reads the Bible. That's active. That's, John doing the action read, and the object is the Bible. Now we have the passive voice, and we have the Bible is read by John. Can you see that? So the object, the Bible, moves to the front, okay, and the verb comes afterward, then the doer, preceded by a by. Now the teacher teaches English. The same example, we have English is taught by the teacher. Mary wrote a letter. A letter was written by Mary. The student answered the question. The questions were answered by the students. Can you see that? God protects his children. His children are protected by God. Now notice how the verb tense is preserved in each transformation. Only the structure changes, not the time of action. So I hope you're getting this. Now let's move very fast. Passive voice across different tenses. Passive voice across different tenses. Of course, we have different tenses, and passive voice operates across the same tenses. Now, the passive voice can be used in many tenses. The key is using the correct form of be alongside the past participle. Here are 5 essential tenses. Number 1, present simple. Okay, present simple. When it is in active voice, you have something like the teacher marks the script. The teacher marks the script. Okay, but when it is in passive voice, you have something like the scripts are marked by the teacher. Are we together? Good. Now, number 2, we have the past simple. Or maybe better put, you say simple past. All right. In active voice, you have something like the student cleaned the classroom. The student cleaned the classroom. In passive voice, you have the classroom was cleaned by the student. Are you getting it? Now, in future simple tense, we have the active voice as the pastor will preach the sermon. That's in the future. He will do it. He's going to preach the sermon. Now, if we're going to put it in passive voice, you have something like the sermon will be preached by the pastor. Present continuous. Present continuous tense. The active voice is the students are writing the test. And in the passive form, we have the test is being written by the students. Present perfect tense. Present perfect tense. Alright? So you have active. The boy has completed the assignment. In the active form, then we have the boy has completed the assignment. In the passive form, we have the assignment has been completed by the boy. I hope you're getting it. If you have any confusion, you can drop it in the comment section. I will definitely attend to it. Alright? And if you are getting it, can you give just write something like, I'm getting it in the comment section. Alright, that's good. Yeah, that is it. So we move to important rules for changing to passive voice. There are rules that are very critical as touching changing an active voice to a passive voice. Rule number one, the sentence must have an object. Only sentences with a direct object can be changed to passive voice. Now, what that implies is that a sentence that does not have an object, I mean, the verb is intransitive, then you don't expect any 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 transformation into a passive voice. It won't work. It can't happen. Look at the example we have here. She sleeps early. So there is no object. Early is not an object. Okay, it's only telling us the time the action sleeps took place. All right. So no object. Okay. So we cannot have a passive voice here. It's not going to work because there is no object. Now, she reads the Bible. Here we have the object present and it can be changed. All right. It can be changed into what? A passive voice. So if something you just all you're just gonna have is what the Bible was read by her. You see that? Good. Now rule number two: always use um, the past participle. Yes, always use the past participle. The main verb must always appear in its past participle form. Look at these ones. Now we have the right. When you have right, the past participle will be written. When you have eat, the past participle is eating. When you have do, the past participle is done. When you have teach, the past participle is taught. And when you have sing, the past participle is sung. Okay? Now rule number three, maintain the original tense. The tense of the active sentence must remain the same in the passive version. Alright? So you just have to understand that. Alright? Use the original. What that means is use the original verb. Okay? Yeah. Only the structure changes, not the time of action. Good. Why it matters and common errors to avoid. Okay? Why do we have to learn active and passive voice? Number one, it helps students write more correctly and clearly. Yes, it improves overall communication skills. Yes. Number three, it makes writing more varied and effective. Yeah. And number five, am I right? One, two, three. Oh, number four, it is essential for exams like WAEC and NECO. Yeah. And number five, it enables students to, it enables students to vary sentence structures. Now, what are the common errors students make? Yeah, students make a lot of errors with active and passive voice and all of that. Now, one of the errors they make is now, look at this example. The assignment was completed by day. How can you say day? By day? No, no, it's wrong. Okay, just because in the active voice you have they completed the assignment, it doesn't mean you should say the assignment was completed by day. Like, no, the correct thing should be the assignment was completed by them. The right pronoun comes in. Okay, they is in the active, but when it comes to being passive, it changes to the objective form, them. Thank you. I hope you get that. Good. If you don't get it, you can leave a comment. Say that in the comment section, and we could bring you more clarity. Okay. Now, English is teach by the teacher. No, just because the teacher teaches English, that's the active voice. Does not mean that you have to still write English is teach by the teacher. No. What you're going to write? English is taught by the teacher because the verb must be in the past participle form. Good. The song was sung by the choir. No, that's wrong. The choir sang the song. That's how it's supposed to sound, right? That in the active voice. But when it comes to passive voice, what you expect to have is the song was sung because the sung must become past participle, and the past participle of sang is sung. And so the song was sung by the choir. I hope you get it right. Good. Always use the past participle form after is, was, or were, not the simple past. So use the past participle form. Good. And we're coming to the end of this lesson. I hope you're enjoying this. Now, in summary, as a round off, this is our takeaway. Mastering active and passive voice is a key step in becoming a confident English communicator. Here is a quick recap of everything you have learned. For active voice, the subject performs the action and the structure is subject plus verb plus object. Okay? And it is more direct and natural. While passive voice, subject receives the action and the structure is that object plus be plus past participle plus by plus subject. That's the structure, all right? And in fact, it is more formal or indirect. So what's the key rules? Key rule number 1, sentence must have an object. Key rule number 2, use past participle. Key rule number 3, maintain the tense. Key rule number 4, use correct pronoun after by. Remember, practice makes perfect. Okay? Try rewriting sentences from your textbook in both voices to build confidence and skill. Thank you for being a part of this class today. If you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, like, and possibly share with some of your friends. They will definitely appreciate it. Love you. Have a wonderful time.